I think one of the reasons that I think is really WoW's superpower of why we've been able to endure in a space that, can be really tough, especially as we've seen, kind of prices come back to earth with all of the changes in the market, is that, you have to think through, like, there's going to be a lot of people that want to be in your community when the numbers are up. But I think the true magic is, how do you create a community that's mission aligned, that's with you when there's a rocky market and wants to stand by you when the numbers are down.
GM, everyone. Welcome back to the NFT Now podcast. Today's guest is very special. We've got Shannon Snow, the COO of World of Women, one of the world's leading NFT brands celebrating representation, inclusion, and equity in Web3 and beyond. They just launched their Art Fest for the spring and have some really interesting initiatives in the works, especially around IP. I'm excited to get into it. Before we do, I want to encourage you to sign up for our weekly newsletter at nftnow.com. Each week, we distill all the mayhem in the markets and everything happening into the space into actionable insights direct to your inbox. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Shannon Snow from World of Women. Shannon, so happy to have you on the NFT Now podcast. We are out here at VCon, mobile setup. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. It was so amazing to see you on the field at VCon. It reminds me of the magic of the community. So I'm so excited we get to be here virtually as well.
Likewise. Well, let's jump into it. We got a lot to cover. It's an exciting time for World of Women. But first of all, for those who are tuning in and maybe aren't as familiar, just give us some background. What is World of Women? What's the origin story? How did it all come together?
Absolutely. So World of Women is the world's leading mission-driven NFT community. It was founded in July 2021, and it's a historic collection. At the time it was founded, there were profile picture collections coming into play, but there were no collections that featured female avatars. So our founding artist, Yam Karkai, saw this hole in the market. She did not want another wave of technology to occur where women were not included. So she created a historic collection of 10,000 PFPs featuring diverse women avatars living on the blockchain. Since then, we've done over $300 million in primary and secondary sales. We have a community of 14,000 amazing holders and collectors all over the world. And we have a social reach of over 100 million from notable people, including Reese Witherspoon, Eva Longoria, Shonda Rhimes, who have all used WoW as a PFP to signify that they believe in our values of equality, representation for all in Web3 and beyond.
Amazing. Well, full disclosure, everyone, I am one of those holders. I think I bought my World of Women back in August of 2021, if I recall. And, it's a really, really special community. And one thing I remember from that day, it was the early days, I remember popping into the Discord and seeing how vibrant and active it was, even like post-mint. Because back in those days, obviously, there was a lot of hype around these mints, and there would be all the energy, and then you'd see it kind of spike and then sometimes drop off if it wasn't really a values-based community or people weren't coming together for the right reasons. But I remember being really impressed by just the energy and the activity in the World of Women Discord, even after that spotlight of the mint era was there, and I was like, this is really great. And so obviously it's been amazing to see the trajectory since. I'd love to hear a little bit about your own journey into World of Women, and how did you get involved in the project?
Yeah. Well, first, thanks for being a holder and just the nod to the energy of the World of Women Discord and the community. I think it's a real point of pride for us. I actually just came back from A16Z crypto school, where I was teaching how to build an engaged community based on some of the lessons that we found in building World of Women. And I do think that the community is one of the things that really makes it special, and especially having amazing humans like you in there is awesome. A little bit about my background. I came into World of Women just about a year ago. I was a holder of the project as well, but I'd spent my career in big tech. I was at Google for over 10 years, building and leading teams in Silicon Valley. And then I moved to Meta, where I did a couple different roles, one working with Series B through exit stage startups and helping them accelerate. And then most recently heading the US entertainment division, where I was helping entertainment companies think through their marketing as well as how they would move into the metaverse. But I think when I looked at where technology was going and the progress of and the pace of Web3. I really thought that I'd spent the first eras of technology, caught the end of Web 1 at Google, like squarely in Web 2 at Facebook and Meta. And I wanted to step into Web 3 really standing for values that matter for me. I think what we've seen is that technology has huge impact on our lives. The devices we use and the way we connect ends up having such a role in the lives that we play, as we've spent more of our lives digitally, and technology has just changed kind of the trajectory. So when I saw, kind of the trends in ownership and community that were happening in Web3, I thought I really wanted to step into that chapter, standing for, values that we think are important, creators and ownership, and some of these values that I think a lot of us in this space, want to see continue even as the technology just rapidly, rapidly changes. So it was such an honor to join WoW in June of 2022. And it's been just a pure joy to help this community move and grow.
Amazing. Well, we have a lot to get into. There's a lot of exciting topics, but I know the one that is top of mind is ArtFest, which is going on right now for the World of Women community. Tell us a little bit about it. What's the idea there? I know it's super exciting and it revolves all around art. So
Absolutely. So, a little bit of history. So, World of Women, obviously, one of our key principles is using our platform to uplift and elevate the next generation of artists. I think it was really incredible that Yam, our founding artist, was able to go from not making a living as an artist to being one of the top female NFT sellers in history. And so we've always had a strong vision around using our platform to help other artists do the same and help everyone kind of celebrate together. So in the beginning, World of Women actually would do art drops monthly to holders, dropping new art and helping our holders discover new art. But as we continue to see the community evolve, what we realized is that people wanted an event. They join these communities because they love to interact, they love to celebrate together. And to your point of a lot of energy in the WoW Discord, we really wanted to create a moment to help our community come together around our shared values and passions. It really hit home for me. I mean, WoW through this gigantic celebration at Art Basel. We had the WoW Gala. We had over 1,000 people come, dress up, celebrate WoW. We honored the community. And after that event, which our community is still talking about, I realized that, even though we had over 1,000 people at the event, we're never going to have an event where 14,000 members of our community can all come, right? It's really hard to get, so many people all over the world across time and space together physically. So we had to create a celebration to help our community celebrate virtually around our values and passions. So ArtFest is a quarterly celebration around art and creativity. It is synced to the last full moon of each season so that as the moon becomes full, you can think about when ArtFest is going to come. And it just highlights diverse voices in art, especially women, non-binary, Black and brown artists, diverse artists from all over the world, because we want to make sure that we are, giving new voice to artists that want to be introduced to the WoW community. They create art that is inspired by the 8 planets of the WoW universe, and new art reveals every day. So each day you log in as a holder, you see art from artists like Sarah Bauman, who did Women and Weapons, Glam Beckett from Sad Girls. They've all created art inspired by the WoW universe that's available to claim.
that is super cool. And I love the fact that you're also including artists who have their own, kind of like women's inspired community projects as well. Because, in a Web 2 world, someone might, make the case that that would be your competition. But I think that's what Web 3 is really about, is this lack of a zero sum environment where communities can collaborate and uplift each other.
Honestly, I mean, we're stronger together. I mean, Sarah, for example, she's a member of our community as well. She has been such a great supporter. And, we have tried different curations. For our first Art Fest, which occurred in winter, Sachi was our partner. And it was a really good mix of digital artists that were more known in the NFT space that WoW curated, and then ones that Sachi brought to the fold that were a little bit more known in the traditional art world and were looking to pull into digital. For this Art Fest, Maker's Place is our partner, which is very fabulous. And WoW has been picking artists that are more known in the digital space to elevate and give more credibility to the artists that are being dropped. But we also, as a partner, as a side activation, did an art contest for anyone to enter. We had artists from all over the world submit new art on social media. Maker's Place actually helped us curate 10 pieces of art that would be showcased on Maker's Place, and they would be able to mint for free. And they're working to create curations both online and offline for those artists. So I think that, the takeaway is that, the partners that we choose are helping us both like bring in new art as well as like elevate some of the established art in service of our mission and community.
That's really cool. So let's jump into dynamics a little bit. I know that there are 16 curated art pieces. There's different curations for World of Women and for World of Women Galaxy. There's this eligibility that's linked to planets and like the skin tone of your World of Women or your World of Women Galaxy. And you're also, even though holders are able to collect for free, you're also sharing royalties and paying artists.
Yeah, we're really proud about that. We're sharing royalties with the artists. And we realized that we wanted to create a fun, gamified element as well. So for those not in the WoW community, basically the skin tone trait of your WoW reveals what planet your WoW is from. So if you have a blue WoW, they're from, kind of the blue planet. And, you can basically reveal art based on the planet of origin story. But, you may not have a WoW from every planet. So you can actually buy the art on secondary if you're interested in holding a full set. And we're actually doing some fun bonuses for anyone that collects the full set of the art. You get a bonus piece that is not available to be dropped only if you have all of the previous pieces.
Very cool. Very cool. So how long is ArtFest going, and how can people get involved?
Yeah, so you can get, if you're a World of Women holder, you can go to artfest.worldofwomen.art and you can log in, you can see all the art available, you can claim for the WoWs that you own. If you don't own WoW, you can go on secondary and see some of the pieces that are starting to come online. And ArtFest closes on May 26th. And we actually extended ArtFest this year. We saw some crazy high gas prices happening, and it's a free claim, but you do pay gas. So we had to do a couple things to mitigate it in service of the community. One, we extended the ArtFest claim. So it's good for everyone who's hearing this podcast that may still have that opportunity to claim. And two, we launched a new feature where actually, if you hold multiple WoWs and you want to just claim everything at once and save a little bit on gas, you can just hit that claim all and claim everything. So yeah. And then if you have not yet had a chance to experience some of the art, I think just visiting the ArtFest site, you can enjoy the beauty of the art and just get inspired and maybe learn about a few artists that you had not yet discovered yet.
Super cool, super cool. And I think you make a really great point that like art has always kind of been a central focus of the community. Now that I think about it, I remember all of those airdrops I would receive, of the different art that's inspired by WoW and and the artists in the community. I think I think that's something that's really interesting, especially as we're like there's a reason why gas was going crazy, right? We're in this weird like meme coin season where things are pumping and like here and there, random things. It's like kind of a strange market for NFTs right now. But it feels like art will always have this like enduring value. And like there's a saying in the artist community that like art is up only. So I'm curious, what role does art play in both like World of Women, it present incarnation and also like future plans?
I mean, it's huge for us, right? And we obviously every community is thinking right now about how to evolve as the industry evolves, right? And for us, as creator royalties have, kind of been diminishing with the marketplace wars and the rise of Blur. We really have been focusing on IP licensing and partnering with brands, which has been huge for us and really exciting. But you realize that the reason that WoW has been successful in those is because we have really beautiful art, and they love the aesthetics of the WoW art. And because of the mission of World of Women, right? The mission is really to empower women and empower upcoming artists. And so a lot of times, we'll be speaking with a brand that wants to partner with WoW, whether it's on a new drop or, an IP collection. And, really like it's because of the values and the art that we stand for that makes it really attractive. We're also using art as a catalyst to further our diversity goals. We have a program called Let's Mint, and the goal is to onboard women and girls into Web3 and tech. I feel very passionate about it as someone who felt that my own career trajectory changed so much as I was able to enter Silicon Valley. But really, the wedge is getting girls excited about art, right? You grow up, you create art, you often are doing it in school and seeing that, that passion could translate into minting your own NFT, learning about Web3, getting exposed to opportunities in technology. It's really just this catalyst for opportunity and social action. So it's something that really like underscores everything that we do. If we look across WoW's business, it's like IP licensing. It's like would not happen without incredible art. Our foundation activities use art as an inspiration. And with our community, it's like, how do we rally our community and celebrate together around art is exactly what we're doing at ArtFest. So it's absolutely core.
Very cool. There's a lot to unpack there. I'd love to like dig in a bit too on what you said about this post-royalty era, because I think it's something that a lot of communities are going through right now. Obviously, when WoW launched, it was a very different climate in the space, where secondary sales royalties were being upheld and enforced, at the marketplace level, and you could actually rely on that as a revenue stream.
Mhm.
Now with Blur and the changes with OpenSea, that's no longer the case. So how do you approach a community-based project like WoW when you can no longer rely on that revenue stream?
It's all about diversification. We were lucky in the sense that we had always planned and forecasted that creator royalties would go away. I think part of the fact that WoW was so popular. I mean, there was a time when that number was so high. It also was just a reality check of like this is not going to always continue. We have to be grateful for this, but we have to plan ahead. So that was why IP licensing had always been really core for WoW. We signed some of the earliest IP licensing deals, and one of the ones that is more visible that we launched recently was with Nicole's Richie's House of Harlow line. That was the first time WoW merchandise was available to non-WoW holders, but that is really the path going forward in terms of creating new product categories and new ways that we can license our IP to create new revenue streams. And often how that works is, companies will pay a licensing fee to maybe license with us, license specific WoWs, and then as they create the product, you have a certain revenue split on the back end as that product rolls out. So for us, the next categories that you'll see us move into are beauty as well as CPG. So we've really been focusing on that as a key revenue driver. The other pieces, certainly that go well with community businesses, are sponsorships. We are lucky to have really great events for our community, and I think it creates a lot of opportunities for companies to come in and sponsor, whether it's a digital event like ArtFest or physical events like community meetups and galas. So I think that for us, we also really look at collabs as another key way that we can expand our scope and mission. So certainly looking at many different revenue streams, but I think any community that says they have it 100% figured out, would be remiss, right? It's such a fast moving market, but all we can do is think through, key ways that, monetization can grow feeling forward. And we feel good that there's certainly paths to keep our community thriving.
Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. I think also, when we think about it, what we're seeing is a lot of these projects really becoming like proper companies in a sense, being able to build these like diversified revenue streams, being able to like build IP and the like, and take this beyond just like the initial collection, right? And so one thing that's interesting, and I think we're seeing it in different contexts throughout the space or in different projects, is like sometimes building those new revenue streams, while critical for the future viability of the company, doesn't always necessarily draw back to direct value to the original holders that will influence the floor price, which is a lot what a lot of people in the space, for better or for worse, are focused on. So I'm wondering how you navigate that kind of tension as you build a sustainable business.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that the biggest thing is, regardless of the paths of monetization you take, you can never forget that it's community first, right? The reason you are where you are is because you have that passionate community. So I think that it's really, really important to remind your community that, the mission of why you're there. I think one of the reasons that I think is really WoW's superpower of why we've been able to endure in a space that, can be really tough, especially as we've seen, kind of prices come back to earth with all of the changes in the market, is that, you have to think through, like, there's going to be a lot of people that want to be in your community when the numbers are up. But I think the true magic is, how do you create a community that's mission aligned, that's with you when there's a rocky market and wants to stand by you when the numbers are down. So for us, I think that is, clear communication about what the value is to the community, investing in things like Art Fest that are, kind of a give back and a way to have value that, maybe doesn't necessarily impact the floor, but certainly gives a recurring way to give back value. And, just involving the community along the way. We've been developing some new projects, some platform type projects to help our community connect, as well as like new IP engagements. And we've created a builder's corner where our community can give real-time feedback in terms of what we're working on. So they're sort of bought in of, like, the direction we're going. That's been really successful, as well as launching a community council where we are actually embedding community members within our product team, marketing team, community, and foundation team, with the goal of, making sure that we have really insightful input from engaged community members about how we can make sure that we're both, executing these things in a good way, but doing so in a way that the community will be excited.
I love that. I love that. I'm curious, like, are there any kind of like moments that stand out in terms of like, anecdotally, like areas with the community or like lessons learned along the way, as you've navigated what has been obviously like, one thing's interesting about World of Women, it's been there for the bull, like for the peak of like the bull market, and then it's also gone through the bear. And so I'm sure you've navigated the ups and the downs. And I'm curious, like, just, what stands out from navigating that?
I think the biggest thing is we have to be able to be flexible to trends, but also realize that as things change, we need to bring our community with us. The biggest thing that comes to mind is, as WoW was launching in the early days, there was a lot of focus on digital fashion and digital identity, which of course makes sense. You use your WoW as your digital identity. Like, of course, we are in that space. But some of the early models we looked at was, we did some amazing collaborations with Fabricant for clothing. We have a great partnership with the Sandbox so that you can log in as your WoW in the Sandbox. But we realized that there was a lot of early hype around metaverses. And I think that we are going to get there, absolutely. But I think it can't be the only thing that we focus on, right? Like, there was sort of a peak of metaverse interest, and now it's leveling out in terms of, what's the user interest, can we actually wear clothing in the metaverse? And I think it will get there, but it's probably like a 5-10 year timeline between the interoperable metaverse that we all picture and are building towards. And so what can you give your community in the meantime, right? So it's kind of brought us down to earth. I mean, I think it was a really interesting moment, for me, like doing amazing, like gorgeous clothing with Fabricant, sharing them. And then, people saying like, okay, great, but like, how do I actually share this? Like, where do I actually wear this? Like, which metaverses can it bring in? And it was really clear that, this was a really exciting path, but it may not really come to full power, until maybe another 5 years out. So, it's really about, how do we focus on trends that are happening now that give our community a way to engage? So, for example, at our VCon booth, we're doing an activation around AI art and teaching people to use AI in art process to develop new art that is building out the story and values of the WoW universes. We're collaborating a lot with Sandbox around education in the metaverse. And so I think it's really having that long-term vision and knowing that we're going into these exciting directions, but realizing that there's going to be different trends, and you have to give your community things that they can do and learn about now, versus always building for like a 10-year future.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know you also touched on the importance of IP for World of Women, and I wanted to dig into that a bit more. Like, how do you see the World of Women IP kind of growing, branching out, and creating this sort of like ecosystem or this universe? As we think about the adoption arc of like mainstream use of this technology.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely early categories where, we've had momentum. I think for us, in terms of expanding the IP, it's about visibility through gaming and entertainment. So Sandbox was a great early partnership for us, really showcasing that, playable WoWs in the sandbox is something that can really be done. And that's certainly a category where we're having a lot of conversations in terms of how we can extend the use of our IP in the context where honestly people are spending a lot of time. Certainly entertainment is interesting because it allows us just to get more visibility for World of Women. And then, from a product standpoint, it's how do we, kind of showcase WoWs on different products. We are very lucky in that we have a great IP license. We gave for your WoW full IP rights to holders. And Galaxy Digital actually did a full audit of every top NFT project and found that WoW's license was most permissive. And what that has enabled is that, we've had WoW holders create products in categories that like we wouldn't be able to do ourselves, right? We had a holder who's like, oh, I'm doing WoW tea, like WoW green juice, WoW wine. Like the holders are also expanding. And I think that that helps the entire community, right? Because when you see that you can use your IP to create and launch a product that already has kind of visible branding, it helps you as a holder, but it also helps the overall brand because you're able to scale and get into new categories that maybe you aren't doing centrally, but you would love to see the visibility and expansion.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And one thing I'd love to hear your thoughts on too. Obviously, the Genesis World of Women collection, the 10K, and then there's the World of Women Genesis, which was like the sister second collection, slightly over double that. How do you think about these two collections and how they live together, especially as we look towards a world where this technology and this space is going to be moving towards more mainstream adoption, more market penetration, and more people coming in.
I mean, I think that when we launched WoW Galaxy, it was, really important from a team standpoint because the WoW price had become, so high, and we're a project that's about inclusion. And so, did it really make sense to be talking about, we're going to be diverse, we're going to be representative, we're going to be inclusive, and then have the core asset be so unaffordable for the majority of people. So WoW Galaxy is a bigger collection. It gets a lot of the same benefits as holding a WoW. You can utilize your IP in the same way that you use your WoW IP. The art is really gorgeous, but it is a bigger collection and it's at a more affordable price point. So that is certainly key for us. And often when we do our Let's Mint sessions, onboarding women and girls and teaching them how to, about Web3 and how to mint their first NFT, often, after that session, they end up minting a WoW Galaxy as kind of an entry point to really learn about the collection. So I think if we look ahead in terms of expanding, we are super careful about making sure that we're not putting too many assets out in the market because we do want to protect, the current holders. But we're really excited about the opportunities to do collabs because I think that that gives a great benefit to both extend us into new market, but leverage new audiences. So you will see a couple pretty exciting collabs in the next year that will get new WoW digital assets in the market.
And I know that there have been some pretty cool and exciting collabs already. There was the Billboard cover with Madonna and the like. I'm curious, like, how do you see the WoW IP and the artwork penetrating like the mainstream through some of these partnerships?
I mean, that's really our core strategy, right? Is to take our licensing across every major category, partner with some of the best in each category, and use that to gain visibility. Usually you do co-marketing with those type of partnerships, and so it just allows you to reach, maybe someone who is in beauty. They haven't really thought a lot about, digital assets, but they're introduced to this product that has beautiful WoW art, but also kind of a digital component. We're seeing a lot of great work across the space. I mean, I think what Pudgy Penguins just did with their plushie dolls with the digital component that shows that you own it. It's very simple, but it also really shows like what's possible in the space in terms of launching a physical product, but having that digital component. And I think that that's also very right in terms of the tenor of the market right now, where you see that a lot of brands, maybe are not too sure about NFTs, but they do want to focus on digital collectibles. And I think that that's a trend that every project can consider as they expand.
Does that mean we may see World of Women, more World of Women like physical products and elements out there?
Yeah, if you stop by the VCon booth, you can see a sneak peek of the next one that you'll see come out. It is WoW
Nice.
Monopoly, which is super, super gorgeous. And so we haven't dropped the release date, but certainly from a value standpoint, that one was really huge for us in the sense that all of us probably learned about money and how money works from Monopoly. And so doing a World of Women Monopoly board was all about how do we change the conversation around women, girls, and money, especially in the new digital economy. So that's one physical that you'll see, but many more along the way, especially in the luxury category. Yeah, I would say luxury and beauty are the ones that you can expect next in the physical realm.
Very cool, very exciting. Well, we will stay tuned there. I think also, I know you touched on this with Let's Mint and the like, but I know that the mission statement for World of Women is all about celebrating representation, inclusivity, and equal opportunities for all. And that's something that we are huge supporters of at NFT Now as well. We believe that the potential of Web3 is really to bypass the entrenched hierarchies and the gatekeeping that has characterized Web 2 and long before that, and really be able to democratize access and allow us to build a more equitable future. But obviously, this future is not going to build itself, right? And we have to be careful. We need to really step up in terms of our own efforts to ensure that Web 3 just doesn't reflect everything that was wrong with Web 2. So I'm curious, is WoW leading that forward? And also, how can we as community members rise to that occasion?
I mean, it's hugely important. I think that you know there's a couple of different trends happening. I mean, I think in order for broader adoption in our industry, we of course need to make it easy to interact with Web3. And I love what Reddit's doing in terms of having avatar onboarding, and people don't even know that they're getting a digital collectible in many cases. They just think they're getting an avatar. I think Starbucks is going to do incredible things to make blockchain technology much more native in existing rewards programs. But I think that, how you really earn and maximize the opportunity that Web3 enables is by getting knowledgeable about how the ecosystem works, is by getting an understanding of the tech and being really native into the tools. And that's why WoW, is focusing on educational efforts with our foundation, because I think that the more educated we can be in terms of, how to operate in this space, the more power you have to really be a decision maker versus just a consumer in that situation. One of the things that we've done that we were most proud of was the collaboration with Ledger. We did a wallet security quiz where you kind of learned all about how to have a secure presence in Web3. You had to answer an extremely hard 30-question quiz, and as a result, you were allowed to enter in a raffle to get a WoW branded ledger. We distributed over 1,000 ledgers to winners of that quest. But it showed, education can be gamified, it can be fun, it can get fun hardware to help keep secure. But I think that if we don't focus on having that knowledge and spreading it, especially to people that may not, traditionally have access, we're not going to have a new generation of women and girls that are decision makers in Web3 versus just passive participants. And that's what we're focusing on.
I love that. I love that. What do you feel are some of the biggest challenges that we are currently experiencing towards bringing more women into Web3 and mainstream adoption there?
I mean, part of the challenge is it's still really difficult to get into Web3, right? I mean, there's still way too many steps to set up your wallet, to actually buy any of these things. And so I think that we've really lost people in terms of the consumer ease. And then more broadly, I think that there's cultural challenges too. Even if you are just starting to learn about it, often the tools that that people are using, whether it's Discord or Web3 Twitter, I mean, both Discord and Twitter are primarily male users. I actually looked up the stats on this. Discord, I think, is 34% female, the rest male. Twitter, actually, the 2023 stats show similar, 68% male, 32% female on Twitter. So, women who are getting into this space are really encountering, not just a lot of, really poor UI. They're encountering an environment that can often be, certainly skewed away from the demographic diversity that we would want to see, but sometimes really toxic too. So I think that is why some of the communities, like World of Women, where you can go and be in a space where it's very explicit that we want you here, we celebrate your inclusion. Like many of the things you do here might not be that different that you would do in other communities, but like we're really clear that like you're wanted and we care about your positive outcomes. Makes a huge difference. And the WoW community is very diverse. I mean, we have 60% women and non-binary, but we have 40% men as well. And we're really proud of that because it's not just, hey, this is only for women. Like this is just a place for people who believe in equality to come together and create a positive, non-toxic environment where we can learn and thrive. So we're really focused on making sure that we're continuing to grow that, giving new platforms for our community to do that together. We're working with our VP of product right now to build a new platform that will supplement some of the tools that we currently use in Web3, where a community can kind of learn, play, and earn together. Because I think it's really important to have those avenues to really promote the change that we want to see.
Yeah, 100%. And I think you bring up a really good point when you talk about like the elements of toxicity that exist in the space. One of the things I've been saying for a bit is that I feel the NFT space is heading for a bit of like a mental health crisis, and that just the combination of the 24/7 markets and the FOMO and like the ups and the downs and like the always online and the social media addiction and everything. Like I'm curious, like as you're working to build that toxic environment, like what are you seeing from your community in terms of how does your community kind of maintain a safe space? How does it stay grounded? And also, like, how do you personally kind of stay grounded when you're navigating what is a really wild frontier that we're all kind of at the forefront of?
Yeah, no, I'm really glad you brought it up because it has been something that we've been focusing on for a long time for that exact reason. I mean, I think that you can't really expect that you're going to be like 24/7, in an environment that can get very heated and toxic and not have, challenges from like a mental health standpoint. We've done a few things, both for our team and for our community. We actually work with a counselor that anyone in our team can access because we know that it can be really overwhelming, and we want to make sure that our team has the support of mental health, access to mental health specialists in case you need to get perspective, take a break. So we've been really, really, I think we've had that benefit for over a year because we recognize that it can certainly happen, especially when you're spending a lot of time with these tools. We actually over this last holiday, we fully closed both WoW and our Discord between Christmas and New Year's. We actually didn't want anyone to be online. Like we said, hey, like we actually need you to take a break. It's not normal for us to be on all the time. And we closed our Discord except for our mental health specific channel because we also wanted our community to take a break too. And we realized that they rely on Discord and the WoW community, but we also want to make sure that we're giving permission, right, to log off and spend time with your family and, get time that is away from the screen. We just were proud to partner with MTV on Mental Health Action Day, which was May 18th. We had Shira Lazar, who's also been a huge mental health advocate, has partnered with Deepak Chopra on the JOMO Effect NFT launch and in support of mental health. And we had two events yesterday that supported that, our meetup at VCon, as well as a WoW Foundation event in UK happening simultaneously, and bringing awareness to the fact that, if we don't take care for our mental health, this can be a really toxic space. So it's something that I really encourage anyone who's listening to this podcast to just take a deep breath and think through, like, what is your own strategy? For me, it's I have to drink water, do yoga, write my daily plan and gratitude for the day before I open up Twitter. Because if I don't start really grounded with, my own health, I'm not going to be able to spread a positive message, to my team and to my community and to my friends and family. So I hope that anyone listening will think through, like, what is their strategy for that as well? Because that's really, really critical.
I love that. And shout out to Shira, obviously an important advocate in our space. She and I actually did a panel on mental health at Consensus. And, one of the things that we shared there too is like, just like you said, the importance of like being able to like stay grounded and get and do right by you before opening up Twitter, taking out, like opening your phone and like getting that onslaught of just everyone else's, things coming at you. I think it's really critical to create that space for yourself. I do it in the morning when I wake up because that's actually when you're like your neuroplasticity is at its highest. It's like that, like your creativity for things that are like, if you're creative, like that's that critical window for you to get that out there. And a lot of people waste that because they just like open their phone and start scrolling, and it's just they're dealing with everybody else's things coming out instead of what their own things coming from within.
Yeah, I'm very much about that. I mean, I think for me, having a process of, it's different for everyone. For me, it's always been yoga and trying to drink water, which I'm horrible at water, but yoga I'm consistent at. But just realizing, like, if I start my day with that, just everything goes better. From a mental health standpoint and business wise, right? Because to your point, you feel grounded and you're able to make better decisions. But you also see like the ripple effect that has on your team and community. I try to post, sometimes, things that I'm thinking about in my post yoga meditation, or, I'm pretty open about the fact that I do believe it's important to exercise and focus on your physical health. And, sometimes you just hear that from your team that, oh, I thought I was going to be inspired by you from, business guidance, and I am, but I'm actually even more inspired by the fact that you actually take time for your mental and physical health and that you prioritize that. And, that having an impact on your team, I think is also really important. So I'm sure your team, Matt, is also feeling the same way to have someone who's so grounded, because like it has a huge ripple effect, across the people that you serve.
Yeah, I think it's incredibly important. Well, look, as we start to move towards the close, like what's next for World of Women? Like, what can you tell us? We love the alpha. If there's any hints you can give us, let us know what's coming up.
Well, we will be seeing the community. We're out on the road, so I'll be speaking at Non-Fungible Conference. So we will be at NFC Lisbon. We'll be hosting a community event there, and a little alpha. I will also be at Cannes Lion. We haven't announced what is happening yet, but we will be doing exciting things there. And of course, for anyone who is visiting our site, artfest.worldofwomen.art. We're wrapping up Artfest, and we will have another one in the summer too. So always something happening for our community and for WoW.
Amazing. Well, we have one more segment. It's our rapid fire segment, bullish or bearish. A couple quick hot takes. So let's start. Are you bullish or bearish on OpenSea?
Oh, bullish. I think they're going to turn it around.
On the other side of the envelope, are you bullish or bearish on Blur?
Bearish, because I think that they have to think about the full ecosystem that they're affecting.
Very fair. Bullish or bearish digital fashion?
Bullish, but it may take longer than we expect.
That sounds about right. Last one, bullish or bearish, big brands coming into Web3?
Bullish. If you can see the contents of my email, big brands really want to come into Web3, and we're excited to help them.
Amazing. Thank you, Shannon. So great to have you on the NFT Now podcast. Thank you for joining us, and really excited to see what World of Women has in store for the rest of the year and beyond.
Matt, thanks so much. We're so honored to have you in the WoW community. Thanks for being such a great thought leader in the space. I love what you guys are doing and excited to keep collaborating.
Great conversation, as always, with Shannon. Really appreciated her perspective on how a community-based NFT brand like World of Women navigates the post-creator royalty era in the space, the importance of IP, all of their efforts to support diversity and inclusion, and we can't forget mental health, everything they're doing to create a safe space and environment for their community. So loved hearing what they have in the works with Artfest, and excited to see where the project goes. Speaking of communities, we are building our own tokenized community with the Now Pass, building the future of tokenized media. Encourage you to learn more at nowpass.xyz. And if you feel so inclined, you can pick one up on OpenSea. We'd love to welcome you to the community. And you can check out our Discord at discord.gg/NFTnow. We'll see you again next week for the NFT Now podcast. Take care.